evolution of the ADC in China is very fun to watch.
We saw how successful EDG pulled it out with the Jinx that game, and SMLZ not quite so successful on Quinn, but they will have a chance at redemption. We're going to be getting into Game 2 after just a short break. Don't go anywhere.
you would wait and watch from far away. But you always knew that you'd be the one to work while they all play. Here we are,
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LPL English broadcast. Once again, I am Seda. This is Frost Gear, and we're about to get into game number 2 between EDG and Masters 3. And game number 1 was a little unique.
That's one way to put it. I would also call it Quinn.
Yes. We saw SMLZ take that Quinn in the game. He ended up with a final scoreline of 0-1-1. Relatively similar in CS, but what?
What's really important to point out here, because obviously 13-3, it was a little bit absurd as far as kills discrepancy, although for the LPL that's fairly low. The big thing was the tower discrepancy, and there is our MVP. It's actually going to be Bamey.
Yeah, they ended up giving that over to Bamey, and that was one of the first times that we saw him win lane, rather handily, I might add, and then actually start roaming around the map.
He was also used as kind of a like a tailor to Deft and Mako's aggressive rotations to kind of show up at the very end and help set up for objectives, but had a fantastic performance on this Azir, gets a triple kill in the very end. Yeah, massive amounts of damage.
You can see how much damage as he's finding Dade and Kande. I think he blows them both up right there. Yeah, he just destroys them with that crazy Azir AoE. It was Morel and Amakon's first, Luden's Echo second. He had those two items finished pre-20 minutes. That's pretty crazy. That's
a pretty... and the only reason that you're able to ramp that quickly into your itemization is because, again, EDG, they focused those towers and rotating Deft and Mako around and pushing down free towers with Jinx's attack speed, despite the fact that it had been changed on 5.10, able to surplus off global gold.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on whether they're able to get away with a similar composition. Masters 3, very... not so strong that last game. I was going to say very strong, but they're showing that game
not
was
so strong.
Yes, they were defensive. They were on the back foot the whole time, but more importantly, they let EDG do what EDG wanted. Even when EDG played against RNG last week, they went for a similar late game composition with positioning. It's all about Deft. It's all about Bamey, just moving those two around the map and taking objectives. But that game went to 50 minutes because RNG never grouped. They never let those turrets fall.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you hit the nail on the head. Masters 3, they were just playing so reactionary to EDG that they never got all of their pieces kind of in place to find a big 5v5. I think they had one at the Dragon and one again that was kind of, it started out as a 3v4 and then kind of progressed into a 5v5. But they never got those big team fights. And more importantly, this Quinn pick never really got a chance to... do anything.
Blade of the Ruined King first, Brutalizer second, would have done damage.
Was looking for a very cost-efficient build into the mid-game.
It unfortunately was not able to find any targets, so SMLZ hopefully going to be going back to something a little bit more standard. We talked about some of the more regular meta picks. Obviously, Sivir and Kalista banned away this time, but Ashe was on the board.
More importantly, though, and the thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, speaking about like picks and bans and things like that, the fact that Masters 3 were on purple side, although Jinx wasn't first rotated, she was actually last rotation for EDG alongside Nautilus, is that so many bans were prioritized because, again, we're on 5.10, and from purple side, you had to ban Echo. Obviously, that new champion, don't want him in the game. Things like Fizz. So there wasn't really a ban available because we're on the new patch for Deft's Jinx, which normally it is banned away from them. We saw it banned at MSI. We've seen it banned in the normal season for LPL. So bit of a swap here now with Masters 3 having the power of first pick on blue side. We'll see if they maybe change it up. And here's our lineup. It's going to be Amazing J in the top lane.
They're swapping him out. This looks like a similar swap so far to what we saw last week with the EDG. We'll keep an eye if Bamey stays on the roster this time or if they swap him out for Pawn in that mid lane. You can see an amazing KDA. 8.75. You know, that's pretty solid.
That said, he is the only time EDG lost is because they had Amazing J on their roster. So.
Yeah, but what's one loss to the best team in the world? Doesn't Doesn't seem like that much. Yeah, they are going to perform a similar swap once again. It's Baimi being pulled out and Pawn being dropped in place.
You know what this means? It's the reunion of the Samsung mid laners.
Oh, yeah. Bit of a grudge match between these two.
Again, to recover those stats in Korea, it used to be 5-6 in favor of Dade. But since Pawn and Dade have moved to China and EDG is 7-0 over Masters 3, it is now shifted to Pawn's favor in 11-6 for their matchup.
Yeah, really solid stuff out of EDG as they're pulling these wins together. You could see the LeBlanc game that Pawn was able to pull out last week was amazing. And that was all off the back of Mako's exceptional roaming. Now, Mako didn't roam too much this game. EDG played a more rotation-centric game as they really stuck it to Master this time. But Masters, they've got to be... Obviously, they experimented with game number 1. It really didn't work out for them. What can they fall back to now that we're in pick and ban for game 2?
The question is always going to be how the bans are going to change now that they've swapped sides. So looks like it was an Alistar first ban as well as the Fizz. So actually not changing all that much. They took the Alistar the first time around. Love CD didn't find the greatest success on it, but there's the Fizz and Echo's still on the board.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting. Masters could be looking to opt into it if that's still up. Unless EDG want to spend that 6th ban. And yeah, there's the Gragas. They could be trying to bait this out here. What are EDG thinking? Are they comfortable enough? Are they familiar enough playing against Echo? Rise ban. Yeah, Echo's up.
Will it be?
Oh, he's hovering it. Come on, do it.
the one time it's appropriate to talk about a hover pick.
Yeah,
when it's the brand new champion. There it is.
That's awesome. Hey, very cool. So Looper locking in Echo.
And I love how the camera immediately goes to the coach of EDG, Aaron, and he makes a face.
He kind of, that was a, I wouldn't say that was a face. I'd say that was like a super villain.
It was definitely on a face.
Seeing James Bond walk past the camera in your vase, in like your secret base, and you do that evil smile where it's, yes, all according to plan. And the Quinn hover from Amazing Jay.
Okay.
I love the sense of humor on these guys.
Let's talk about Echo. Now,
Let's.
obviously in LSPL, we saw him in the top lane. We still don't know if this is going to be a mid lane Echo or if it's going to be a top lane Echo. I always considered Echo as a mid lane champion when I was kind of reading through his numbers. I know we were doing some math upstairs. And the one thing that you have to recognize with Echo is the math is ridiculous. So on his passive alone, it's 15 plus 12 times his level. So that's a max of, what, 210 of just flat damage that it's going to do, and then you plus a percentile of your AP. So you can easily do, at level 18, probably 300 plus damage with just his passive.
Yeah, and on top of that, you add a Sheen for additional damage.
Which you get the Sheen proc on the E.
Yeah, it's absurd how quickly he melts through squishy targets. Seems like we're having a bit of trouble with EDG's side of the champ select right now, but that Echo locked in has got me so excited. And I'm curious how this is going to fit in. You mentioned that he can go in multiple places. He can go in the top. He can go in mid. He can even go in jungle to a degree. Dade versus Pawn is that grudge match. This is the two Samsung mid laners.
Likewise, we also get to see how EDG are going to match up. Having Baimi being that more rotational style team, immediately shifting back to Pawn, and how I said when Pawn was first introduced to this lineup at the start of 2015, it became a more skirmish-based team composition. Pawn would be able to draw a lot more attention to himself, and then Clear Love would kind of show up on these 2v2, 2v3 sort of ganks, and they would find advantages that way. And like Deft's Jinx, who is undefeated, Clear Love's Lee Sin is undefeated for the year.
Yeah, and that is Clear Love's Lee Sin locked in, one of his favorite champions, and that's going to be Deft back on that incredibly popular Sivir in the LPL. And it looks like, so far, that's going to be Dade taking Echo in the mid lane. Yeah, Nautilus Hecarim locked in. Insta-lock LeBlanc. Oh, boy.
I hear you like burst champions.
Yeah. This is literally a who is faster sort of combination.
It's also funny because Dade has a relatively small and controlled champion pool. He doesn't play a lot of champions. Again, he's played 11 unique champions for the year so far, whereas Pawn on the other side has played close to 20 unique champions, so almost twice as many of Dade.
Yeah.
But their champion pool does overlap in LeBlanc. That was one of Dade's primary champions. And again, kind of expanding again. We saw him pull out the Cassiopeia. We saw him pull out the Vladimir, experimenting with Azir when he was released. Now moving towards Echo. So slowly Dade's champion pool. I think I said that wrong.
You did.
Whoops.
Yeah, so it is expanding. I'm really looking forward to how this is going to match up because now we can see the final team comp locked in for Masters 3. They're rocking that very scary mid to late game team composition. But what do EDG do? The same thing they did versus RNG. Swap out the same two players, put Pawn in the mid lane on LeBlanc, put Mako on that bottom lane Annie. This is a very scary EDG team.
Huge engage coming out of EDG. This is something they run all the time. Mako has an absurd win rate on Annie, one of his most played champions. Sivir is one of Deft's most played champions. Obviously, she just empowers Annie to get in there, drop the Tibbers, start a team fight when they want. Amazing J for the follow-up on Gnar. But again, Amazing J, the difference between Korra and Amazing J, when EDG set up for a team fight, Korra would normally be teleporting into the back to help get on the back of the team fight. Amazing J usually arrives kind of at the end of it and is more janitorial or split push oriented.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep a track on Amazing J this time. As you can see, he was taking Gnar into that Maokai. Clearlove on his undefeated Lee Sin into Kandi's Hecarim in the jungle, interestingly enough. Now, yes, that is an Echo. Your eyes do not deceive you. Dade versus Pawn. The battle of the Samsung mid laners.
So good. Echo versus LeBlanc on the Samsung reunion.
This
Love it.
Awesome. This is really exciting. SMLZ rocking that Lucian into Deft rocking the Sivir and Love CD on that Nautilus. Annie, this is the LPL. We're getting into game number 2 between EDG and M3, and I'm really, looking forward to how this is going to match up because EDG, they've got a very scary pick comp. They find someone unprotected, that guy's going to die.
That's one way to say it.
Yeah.
The thing about LeBlanc is you have to be so much more aware of your spacing relative to your teammates, because if you're just slightly out of position, obviously she can go over a wall, she can travel ridiculous amounts of distance with her double distortion, delete you from the map.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep a track on whether or not he's able to pull that off. We're about to get into the rift between game number 2 of EDG versus Master. And we have loaded onto the rift. An immediate pick happens. SMLZ is caught as Mako and Deft burn him low. He's down to 200 health. Slow comes out from Love CD, and this game is off to a fast start. With Jake, I made a NASCAR reference about the speed of the game, and he didn't get it. I think you just might.
Sorry, I was watching Deft lay down like 10 autos right there, just ripping through SMLZ.
Yeah.
That said, SMLZ, he stays patient, doesn't burn any of his summoners, likewise retains his pot.
Yeah, really, really calm play from SMLZ. Didn't burn any of the summoners. That takes a lot of patience, and EDG are making this side of the jungle their own as they continue with the invade. Pawn actually takes the distortion and jumps away. Kandi looking to zone him out. And yeah, Pawn makes it out. Dade goes for a little bit of Time Wander, but doesn't quite find him.
Dade playing Echo.
I know! It's awesome. Take a look at his summoner spells.
Cleanse.
Yeah. Why on earth would he take a cleanse?
I guess we're going to have to find out.
Yeah, Echo, the new champion. Not a lot of people have seen him in professional play so far. I mean, he was played in EU LCS. He was played in the LSPL. Fun to see how this works out.
I heard rumors of an NACS, but I never saw it. I checked. I looked.
I didn't see the game myself. We do have a red buff start coming out of Masters 3 as they do want to send their duo to the bottom. EDG going for a similar one. And Looper going for that standard. I'm going to clear a camp first and then teleport top.
And again, EDG looking for the 2v2, especially with the Sivir. She's so good in a lane swap just because she has such superior pushing potential, just like Jinx. But EDG both times not backing down to this 2v2.
Yeah, some big damage coming across from SMLZ and Love CD as they shove the wave to try to get that early advantage. Clearlove going for a quick invade, looking for that weak early clear from Hecarim, is not quite going to find him. He actually could be setting him for a dive onto Dade as well. We'll keep an eye on whether or not Clearlove is able to pull this off, because you can see Pawn edging forward in the mid lane.
And it's important that Pawn is pushing Dade back underneath his tower so he can get there and respond faster than Dade should this turn into a 2v2 as opposed to a 1v1. Ooh, smites
he
early.
didn't see him. Oh, man. Great play from Clearlove. He smites it. He's doing damage. Red buff taken away. Kandi doesn't have any escape summoners. He's going to go down here. Clearlove gets the first blood.
Now, in China, they say that Clearlove has two forms. He has Lightning miss
Ooh,
Clear
action in
Love.
the bottom. Mako's forced to flash away. Deft gets the kill on the Love CD, and now he's continuing to orb walk as SMLZ runs under his turret, flashes to get out of the boomerang, and escapes with his life.
Good flash over the corner there to save his life. Has to burn the summoner, so great engage from EG. Again, lightness Clear Love and darkness Clear Love. So the thing is Clear Love's very well known as being a herbivore jungler, but again, going back to his Lee Sin stats and to the play that you just witnessed, he has full potential to go straight carnivore, invade your jungle, and murder you. And speaking of murder...
Man, Pawn murderized Dade in the mid lane as he does get another kill onto in EDG. And yeah, that's 3-0. Finally, we're going to see that on the map, and really great play from Pawn LeBlanc we can see doing really well.
The cleanse was burned, so obviously the summoner really didn't help him out there.
Not quite.
You have to be careful of the burst potential and the threat that LeBlanc's going to bring between levels 3 to 4. Obviously, the distortion Q combo.
We just saw that as Dade getting zoned out of the mid lane, and so far that's 3 deaths from Masters 3 as they're coming into game number 2 without that strong a showing, but EDG going full on aggression. A deep ward from Condi is going to spot the roaming duo of Clear Love and Mako. Bit of a death push being set up by Love CD. They don't want to look for the blue steal, and instead they let that get taken away.
I think they're waiting for them to rotate back into the lane to possibly look at a gank on SMLZ, which is why he's so far forward.
Yeah, instead, they're going to try to pick out the very squishy, little immobile Dade, and Dade senses it coming. He's going to see Clear Love coming from the side and immediately gets right out of there as the Wraith camp, Raptor camp, looks to be stolen by Clear Love.
We do have Condi, however, as well as Love CD moving up the river behind them.
Potential collapse. And Amazing J just used his teleport. Mako gets stunned as he stuns Condi. Clear Love tries to make it over the wall. He does, but instantly gets pulled right back in. The chain comes across. Dade forced to flash the wall as he did use his tumble. It looks like it's Condi who's the first to go down. SMLZ has joined the fight, and Clear Love, he's running for his life through the back lines of Masters jungle. Ping's going down as Pawn looks to kill SMLZ. Clear Love is caught. He goes down. SMLZ gets the kill, but Pawn isn't quite satisfied just yet. It's 2 versus 3. Mako with a huge 2-man stun zones him out, and Pawn gets additional AoE, but here's the teleport. Looper has joined in. They need to find the snare here. No, that's Condi who's joining the fight as he died and is now getting right back in with the low death timers. Mako gets out of there, and Pawn looks for some more harass.
And obviously the big thing was the fact that Amazing J had burned his teleport initially on the start of that fight, so wasn't able to come to the rescue. EDG get punished massively by a beautiful trap set by Masters 3. They were so patient, waiting in the river, making sure to play with Fog of War, come up behind Clear Love and Mako, and make something happen.
Yeah, and that kill is on a very important for Masters 3. That's on SMLZ. Not only does he have blue buff for in-lane harass, but he's also going to be scaling just a little bit better into the late game. Unfortunately, however, that did hurt his CS.
Not a lot.
Just a touch.
Just 20.
Yeah.
Want to have a fun fact about SMLZ?
I do.
He has a 100% win rate on Lucian for the year.
That's exciting. We're going to have to see if that works out so far because Clear Love has 100% win rate on Lee Sin.
That said, Clear Love has played 16 games of Lee Sin for the year, and SMLZ has only played 4 of Lucian.
Well, the statistics don't lie. So far, this game is set to end in a draw as EDG look for a roam to go top. Looper does have to be careful. He's got the wave pushing forward. Amazing J tries to bait it out, but he's not able to get it. Instead, the Scuttle Crab is taken by Clear Love, and Pawn returns to lane.
Let's talk about itemization. Dade, we talked about previously his tier into Rylai's, especially as he gets ganked here.
Oh, immediately gets level 6 to dodge the stun. A great play from Dade, and he makes it under the turret.
Beautiful dodge of the CC with his ability juggle right there. Rush to Sheen. So looking for that Lich Bane. Obviously, we talked about how Echo's E will give you the automatic proc on the second. So it has like kind of a 2 gap closer piece to it. As opposed to, I've seen a lot of Lich Banes, I've seen a lot of Death Caps, but, or excuse me, a lot of Luden's Echo is what I meant to say.
Yeah, Luden's Echo
But looking for that Lich Bane rush.
So far, it's generally been the Luden's Echo has been the priority damage item on Echo. Dade, oh, what a clever play. Tumbling out of the distortion, and then if you're fast enough, you can get right back in. But Pawn looks like he's going to be the faster one and gets out away from Dade in time. Lands the chain for some more harass. Dade is doing pretty well in farm. He's only down 10 CS, however. Deft and Mako shoving in the bottom. They look to try to take the first turret of the game, but Masters are able to keep it standing.
And to be this far forward and this aggressive, due to the spell shield on the dredge line,
Yeah.
against Lucian Nautilus, probably the strongest 2v2 lane imaginable, and Deft and Mako just playing this fantastic.
Yeah, Condi looking for another gank. On the hunt is used as Deft is running faster than the Hecarim is. They turn onto Love CD. Ignite burns him down. Here comes Looper joining the fight. Mako is healed as he runs away. Deft diving the turret here. He's almost certainly going to go down. Spell shield to try to keep himself alive. Condi gets the kill. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
He meant to spell shield the last helicopter Q of Hecarim,
Yeah.
and not the tower shot right there. Unfortunately, he takes both. Goes down a little bit early, trying to make that a double kill. In what world is Deft diving towers? That was a moment of, he's not chasing me, I am chasing you.
Yeah, this is an amazing game from EDG. They're up 3 kills, an enormous amount of gold. That's 2,500 9 minutes into the game, and so far the aggression has been paying off rather well. 30 CS lead in the bottom, 16 CS lead in the mid lane, and we're even starting to see a bit of a CS lead develop in the top as Amazing J recalls for his Hex Drinker.
I love it. The evolution. It goes back to, because we're talking about the reunion of the Samsung mid laners, Pawn and Dade in the mid lane. Likewise, they have another Samsung Blue member on the map. It's, of course, Deft, the former AD carry. And just the evolution of their play styles. Dade, somewhat stalling out, not really finding his groove, expanding his champion pool. Pawn being as crazy as ever, but finding so much more success on it, although Samsung White were world champions, so I can say that a little bit lightly. But Deft, so aggressive now, diving towers. Before he was known as losing lanes, and he would just survive and then come out into the late game with superior 5v5, just murdering, bodying Lucian Nautilus right now.
Yeah, and the aggression continues as EDG with the ward, even teleporting. There are 5 members of EDG going to the bottom. They've got their target set in their mind. SMLZ is going to be the first. He goes down. Oh, Amazing J doesn't get the assist in time. They even managed to pick off Love CD. That was so crisp.
Hey, look, a top laner. Amazing J finally getting involved with the team. What are we talking about with Pawn and how he transforms EDG's identity? Skirmishes. What is happening right now? It's not rotations for towers and free objectives. It's murdering everyone, being super aggressive, and looking for these skirmishes across map.
Yeah, really solid play out of EDG. Potential recall gets canceled as they decide to collapse onto the Dragon. Their first of the game. Condi nowhere near position to contest it. This is going to be EDG taking that damage spike. The Dragon's
Scaling
Wrath.
6.
Dragon's Wrath?
It's the scaling 6% on both AD and AP.
The scaling 6%. So with that secured, EDG back away. They head home, pick up, and take a look at the build for Deft. I wonder what he's going to do.
Oh, look, it's a BF sword and pickaxe with upgraded boots. I think I've seen this before.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of deja vu, I think.
Of rotating to the top lane to take free towers.
I think it's actually just a glitch in the Matrix.
I see.
Yeah.
Condi. Ooh, forces the flash.
Whoa, he actually does get Clear Love out of the way, and Condi did have Onslaught of Shadows, decided not to use it, and some good damage from Dade as he follows on the distortion there, but bit overextended. Chain lands. Here's Mako getting in. Dade is low. He's chunked down to about a third of his health. With the ultimate, he goes back in as he staggered it out long enough. Condi comes in from the side. They turn for Pawn, but Pawn, while invisible, made it over the wall. This is now Mako running for his life, and Pawn looks like he's going to be able to get out of this one.
He wants the assassination so badly.
Yeah, he jumps out. Distort gets some more distance between he and Looper, but it's tier 1 boots against no boots. He's actually baiting it forward. The flash snare finds Pawn. He goes down.
Pawn's like, safety, I can get away? Nah, I want to kill Dade. Unfortunately, backfires on him there. Echo is so good against resource-based assassin champions, particularly Zed, because if you think about how much energy it takes for Zed to go through his rotation and the fact that Echo presses R, resets all of that, but again, the assassins don't get the resources that they expended on their skill rotations back. Same thing against LeBlanc, not as punishing as against Zed just because her CDs are so short, but the idea that he burned everything, couldn't kill Echo, although Echo's going to go down here now.
He does manage to land the stun on Mako, but Deft doesn't fall for it with another kill for EDG. Condi waiting in the wings, but nothing he can do.
Just unfortunate.
Yeah, kind of a bummer, but so far it's 8-3 in favor of EDG. They're pulling out all the stops with this aggressive team comp, just shoving every turret, diving every lane. We saw the 5-man dive reward 2 kills and a turret in the bottom lane, and then the Dragon off of this too. Master once again are stuck responding to EDG plays, but this time EDG are so much faster.
Deft makes Sivir look so sexy. Just how he plays her. The reset on the W is fantastic. But took the top tower while all of that was going down. Now looking for the mid tower, which is why, again, the clear love pawn bromance in top lane.
Ooh, Looper is able to bait Pawn around the minions. He didn't take any chains, so he's got a lot of damage. Clear Love goes down. Pawn still with the dive, tries to loop around, but he gets caught by Love CD. Kandi with the kill.
Being way too overzealous right there. They're punished accordingly, so good job from Masters 3 responding accordingly to that. I want to quickly touch about Hecarim jungle, because it's not my favorite, and I'm about to point out why. The problem with Hecarim is I think he has very expensive items.
Yeah.
Primarily that Trinity Force, of course. He's going to be cheap early on just because he's going to grab some resistances, like he's building for his CDR armor now, as well as that Home Guard is going to be incredibly potent since he is running Teleport Smite from the jungle. But it's just to be really effective.
Ooh, Mako's caught. Oh, a great flash to dodge the AoE. Good reaction, and Kandi even going in for the teleport. EDG, get out of that game.
Just so hard to cover these points because EDG just want to murder everyone.
They do. They do. But let's continue about the Hecarim jungle.
There's just not enough gold in the jungle to make the most out of Hecarim's very expensive build.
It is unfortunate. So far, we can see he does have Glacial Shroud. The dive onto Deft. It's not so much a dive as just a standard gank. He flashes the wall, and nobody can make it over it. Onslaught of Shadows is on cooldown. There are no flashes available. Even Mako is just able to run away. And EDG, despite being attacked by 4 members of Master 3, get the turret.
I love how he loops around and just takes the tower. So what happened there, of course, is Dade procced the stun because he walked into his force field while Deft was also in it. I think he actually used his E to bounce into it, proccing the stun.
Yeah.
Tried to burst Deft there, just really didn't have it. Good flash from Deft.
The parallel convergence, not quite working out so far. More like a divergence as Deft was able to make it out of the wall, and he ended up splitting. Still able to take that turret. EDG steal away the red buff here while SMLZ continues to farm it up in the bottom. And while he's had that lane for solo farm for quite a while, he's down just a touch in CS.
And unfortunately, he's looking for a very mid-game focused build. Has that Brutalizer available. We'll see how quickly he upgrades that to a Yomo's Ghostblade. But sitting on a pickaxe, obviously down a full Infinity Edge to Deft, and he's really in no position to face against the Sivir, especially as Dragon is spawning in 1 minute.
Yeah, a bit of a gank being set up here as you've got Dade waiting in the back to see if Pawn gets too aggressive onto Looper as they try to bait it out, but Pawn doesn't fall for it as he is slowing things down just a bit. The big wave is going to be caught by Amazing J and continues to juggle as he prunes that wave. Nice and neat to continue getting gold. Kandi, he heard your point about having low-cost build and says, I should have taken an him lane. And then immediately starts farming up the mid-CS, pushes it in, and who's there to catch it but Deft.
I feel like there's an underlying conversation going where Looper's trying to sabotage Dade because Dade was blue and Looper was white, and Deft's trying to sabotage Pawn because, again...
It's who wants the most kills for this one. And so far, it looks like it's Deft is actually going to be the winner. He's got 3 kills right now.
Deft is always the winner.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, Pawn makes EDG look very flashy, and he draws a lot of attention to himself. It's very skirmish-oriented. He picks those big, impactful champions that can 1v1 and duel, as well as the controlled mages. But Deft is the carry to EDG. A lot of their resources are expended on Deft. It's about rotating and protecting Deft. He's always going to be the big breadwinner for EDG.
Dragon has just spawned 16.5 minutes into the game, and EDG are up a whopping 5,000 gold 17 minutes into the game. That is an enormous amount. With that Dragon 2, they are in position. They've got some forward wards to spot out the members of Masters 3. SMLZ is shoving out this wave. He's now added a BF sword towards his build as Dade is looking towards a Luden's Echo, but right now he's only got components and Clear Love. Spots the ward in the back of the pit. Doesn't decide to clear it out as he knows that there's a chance of being dove, and decides to go clear out some wards in the river instead.
You're absolutely right. You didn't have any wards on the back of the pit, so it was pretty unsafe to approach that, especially with Mako and Deft so far away off into the mid lane. If someone was behind him, he probably would have approached for that, but...
Yeah, Deft and Mako setting up a bit of a death bush here. They know that Dragon is a very important priority for Master 3. More importantly, to stem the flowing tide of EDG's gold income increase. But instead, they decide to farm it up in the mid-wave, continue to maintain wave pressure all across the map. Pawn clearing out a wave in the bottom while the rest of Masters 3 respond. Looper, wait, Amazing J? Okay, yeah, Amazing J was in a really weird spot right there. Looper and Dade are going to find him, but he bounces over the wall and gets right out.
Gromp assist, but meanwhile, since so many resources were committed top towards Amazing J, again, split pushing and drawing pressure as opposed to being part of big 5v5s in this version of EDG, they get the free dragon.
Oh, the hook lands on Love CD, but he gets out of there. And EDG, despite the immense early game pressure paying off with enormous dividends, they have not taken the fight out of Master 3 just yet. Master 3 are looking for picks. They tried to kill Amazing J. They've got some pretty solid defensive wards on that bottom side jungle. They're keeping their tier 2 turret standing. And it seems like they've finally put pressure on the wound and staunched the bleeding.
No, I would agree with that. They've definitely kind of secured more of the jungle, making smarter rotations, making sure that EDG aren't just bleeding out towers for free. The thing that I'm really curious about is how Echo is going to transition into the mid game to the late game. So he already has his Lich Bang completed for Dade right there. Yeah. Does have a cloak, so could possibly look towards an Abyssal, but I would love to see more of like a Luden's Echo, a straight burst, because Echo does ridiculous damage.
Yeah, he definitely does. So far, he is not been able to find any assassinations. He's shown with some flashy plays so far, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to get the kills to pay the bills for those items. SMLZ, makes it out of the chain range. Pawn with the double distortion and flash. He's got a pretty low cooldown here, forced to flash while the distortion is out, and he's going to get out just fine.
Pawn on his own, eating up viable cooldowns.
Yeah, generally pretty awesome. Looper does find Amazing J. Condi finds him too. Amazing J tries to make it over the wall once again. There's no Gromp for you to double bounce this time, friend, but Condi's still on the chase. Some big damage coming across, but here's Mako and Clear Love. Master 3 sense it and decide to back off.
Applying pressure across every single map, but it's not turning into any picks. It is eating a lot of massive ultimates like we talked about, so we'll see if EDG maybe transition towards a 5v5. There's no dragon to set the stage for, and right now EDG kind of losing a little bit of their momentum and pressure, looking for picks, not finding them.
Yeah, they certainly have, and let's just play this scenario out. What happens if Master 3 are able to stall this game out for another 10, 15, 20 minutes? I say as SMLZ
goodbye
flashes. Oh, and he makes it out too. The teleport even canceled by Looper. But what happens if Master 3 are able to stall this?
I'm actually kind of unsure because I don't really know where to put Echo or how his team fight is going to work in the competitive environment. It really is on his back because obviously with this build for Lucian, the fact that he is going Ghostblade into Infinity Edge, it's not the most late game damage, although he does have the potential there, very safe. The thing that I do like about Lucian in Masters 3 composition is that a lot of the resources don't need to be used to peel for Lucian. You have the Onslaught of Shadows and you have Maokai's Twisted Advance. They can safely go into the backline and not worry about SMLZ because he has his Relentless Pursuit.
Yeah, the big question is going to be, is SMLZ quick enough to dodge Mako, to dodge Clear Love, heck, to dodge even Pawn on the block? So far he's been doing a pretty good job. He hasn't left that bottom lane in past 5-10 minutes, so far things are looking pretty solid. We're now 21 minutes into the game. Baron is a very real possibility for EDG with their enormous gold lead, but the gold lead has stopped growing. Masters 3, again, are still in this. They're doing a really good job of transitioning into the mid-game, and they're looking for some of those stronger item spikes. Dade with his blue, Amazing J getting some damage onto this tier 2 turret. There's one of the paper cuts. Not quite going to reward anything just yet. EDG with some pressure on the bottom. It's a 1-4 split, but that's 2 members of Master on the top. Three caster minions is not going to be enough to break this turret, and EDG back off.
And really important to underline that EDG, they're making the most of the split push, but again, it's not like with Koro where he's very far forward and Clear Love sitting in the wings looking for a counter gank opportunity. They leave him completely on his own. He has his teleport available, or excuse me, he had his teleport available, but he can get involved in the back half of fights, doesn't have it right now, but it's not like they're playing around Amazing J, they're just letting him speak for himself and be his own pressure point.
Yeah, potential dive onto SMLZ from Pawn as he continues to look for aggression in the bottom, but he does not find any results as SMLZ is still able to keep himself alive. Deft with the 22-minute IE static shiv. I'm sure it was actually much sooner, but he decides to back into his own jungle to clear out that camp. Now, Dragon's up in a minute and a half. Masters did not contest the last one. They actually find a pick onto Mako. He flashes to get out of some of the CC, but so much is being blown for him. Dade is the one who gets the kill. They feed it over to that mid carry, and there's the ultimate as Deft has so much damage. He actually zones Dade out. Deft could go down here. No, he actually does make it out alive. He even has heal. Here's Amazing J from the back. They could try to turn this. Pawn gets over the wall. While Dade does have some flashy moves, he goes down. A great amount of CC comes across. Condi has now joined the fight, but it's too little too late. Dade and Looper are dead. Conde is going to be the next to fall, and that's going to be a 1-for-3 trade in favor of EDG.
And unfortunately, Mako right there caught out, but it doesn't mean much as it's an easy cleanup and collapse from EDG. They have so much mobility, having that on the hunt available to them, and Deft able to kite it out, immediately turn into the Baron. And with no jungler available, this should be free, but it is very early, and Nautilus and Lucian on the way.
Yeah, Love CD is looking to get into the pit. He tries to find Deft in the back line, brings him low. He knows Deft has got no CC, but Pawn has destroyed SMLZ, and Love CD goes down. That's an ace for EDG and the Baron. And they only lost Mako.
Beautiful orb blocking from Deft right there to kite him around from the back of the pit. I actually think that he took one of the Baron hits just because he moved a little bit too close, and EDG, the rest of the members backed away from it. So, beautiful play.
Yeah, very solid play out of EDG as they now secure that Baron, and what was a 5,000 gold lead is once again starting to snowball further and further forward. It's now 9,000 gold in favor of EDG. Rabadon's death cap secured by Pawn. They're hitting some pretty big item breakpoints. You can take a look at the gold right here. It's 2,000 in favor of Pawn, almost 3.5 in favor of Deft over SMLZ. And even in the top lane where it looked fairly even, Amazing J is 1,500 gold up just from all of those global objectives and kills.
You at least have a 1k discrepancy between every single position between Masters 3 and EDG. Thing that I wanted to talk about is Pawn is so massive right now. Like you said, completing the Morellos, completing the Death Cap, this LeBlanc can remove anyone he wants from the map, and there's pretty much zero MR tools. Really only Dade with the Abyssal Scepter, but your two big front tank lines have only itemized Merc Treads as far as an answer to this LeBlanc. Everything else is armor-based.
Yeah, very scary EDG composition as they look for a rotation down to the bottom tier 2 turret, and they're going to find it. The minion wave should get there at about the same time as Masters 3, but they just have so much damage that it doesn't even matter. The tier 2 turret falls, and EDG press their advantage.
Too bad Mata's not in this game. It didn't even Mata. It's my favorite. Out of all of the puns, that one is the best.
It doesn't even Mata anymore?
It doesn't even Mata anymore.
Yeah, this is a very scary position for Masters 3, and the big question is, can they staunch the bleeding once again? So far, EDG have looked to snowball that what was a single pick for Master 3 into an ace, a Baron, many turrets, and their third dragon. They're hitting some pretty big numbers, but Master 3 look for a fight. They try to find Deft, but they don't find anything, and suddenly they're being flanked from both sides. This is a very scary position for Master 3. Pawn goes over the wall. CC locks him down. He's going to be picked up by Dade, and SMLZ's in the back. He's trying to deal some serious damage, but Deft is trading right back away. Clear Love and Amazing J turn on the Dade and SMLZ, and they are going to zone them away, and they're even pulled back in. A great stun finds Amazing J, but there's no follow-up. M3's take line is falling, M3's carries are falling, and M3's base looks like it's going to fall next.
There were so many damage threats from EDG. I'm sure we're going to get a replay of that fight because it was crazy coming from all sides. Oh, there goes Dade.
Good try. He set up the bomb too, but just wasn't able to find it.
With this, they're going to take 2 towers as well as break that inhibitor line. Condi trying to do what he can.
Ooh, Deft able to dodge some of the damage there. He does have a moderate amount of AoE, but he just doesn't have enough to clear the Baron up menu.
It's very important, though, that he's stalling them from taking the inhibitor. So they broke the inhib line as far as the towers are concerned, but they do not get that inhib. So great job from Condi to make a quick response.
Yeah, excellent play out of EDG after that team fight. Here's the replay.
There we go.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Okay, so what's really important here is just the mobility of EDG. All of their members pretty much have different gap closers. It started as this crazy skirmish. Technically, all 10 members are in the same area of this map, but there's so many 2v2s and 3v3s going, and really, it's just the mobility and the fact that there's 0 MR. So Mako is doing ridiculous amounts of damage. Likewise, Deft goes untouched and gets to just run through everyone.
Yeah, Deft, really solid job avoiding the very fast potential gank from Master 3, and with that, EDG end up securing that inhibitor turret and increasing their gold lead even further. Pawn is almost caught here. Is he going to be able to get the kill? The stun comes out. He is found the right clone, but wait, Pawn just whiffed his flash. He does make it over the wall, and Pawn gets out alive.
More importantly, Dade got out of live.
Yeah.
Great use of the Echo ultimate right there. He held it for so long because he wanted Pawn to overcommit and then to reset again. So good against Assassins because they expend so much. They dump their load trying to burst you 100-0 and Echo can just say, wait, nope, you lose all your resources and I'm still alive.
Yeah, Condi looking to get his own Raptor camp, but he's not even going to be able to get that if Clearlove did get the smite on it. And just like this, EDG continue to keep pressure. I don't think we've seen Masters 3 extend past their half of the map since that failed gank attempt on the Mako. Well, it was a successful gank on the Mako, but an unsuccessful teamfight follow-up. But yeah, EDG are just putting pressure all over.
Question is how they're going to break this inhib line. It looks like they're rotating towards the last standing outer tower.
Big damage coming across. Potential stun set up by Dade. Is nobody going to fall for it? Condi is targeted. Amazing J with a huge stun. Just shreds through the line. Dade is running as fast as he can, but even the tanks are too strong for him. Love CD gets under his turret in time. Same thing with Looper, but they've got no clear.
Dade tried to set up a choke point there and feed his team. Wow, just never stops.
Yeah, that's another kill for EDG. They're up now 20-8 in the Tier 2 fall.
Dade tried to lock off an escape and force his team to go back, but unfortunately Masters 3 tank line is just non-existent right now. They just don't have the resistances to deal, and the thing is Pawn wasn't even there. And that was their big, AP burst damage where, again, it's frozen hearts.
Yeah, the tank and front line has enough damage. Pawn even clearing out that bottom inhibitor turret on his own with the minion wave. Clearlove now coming to help him out as not one but now two inhibitors look to fall. Condi with the home guard immediately turns onto Deft, but he's got no backup. Deft does so much damage. It's Pawn who gets the kill. A great stun. Finds Amazing J, but Dade immediately has to get right back out of the fight. He doesn't want any piece of that very scary composition. The inhibitor falls. Are EDG going to try to end the game? Can they?
Have to be very careful. Again, Echo's still going to have massive amounts of zone control in front of him as well as burst damage. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
If EDG had died right there, it wouldn't have meant much in terms of what they had lost just because Masters 3 are so far forward, pushed into their base. They could have attempted it there, but they have so much gold. They just broke 2 towers, killed a couple of people, so good time to go home, spend, rack up your gold lead.
Yeah, you can see the numbers right now, and it's getting even bigger. Nearly 2,000 gold across all of the categories. And take a look at the discrepancy between those 80 carries. Is that a 6,000 gold difference I see between them?
It is 9,000 to 15,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty big number. Deft, involved in 16 out of his team's 21 kills, has been phenomenal this game. And he's got 4 items 30 minutes into the game with a Zeal. He's 5.5 items. He's half an item away from being full built 30 minutes in.
People always say that Sivir is rather low damage. You look more towards her utility, but Deft just makes her look so strong, so powerful. He has a pentakill on this champion, always looks flawless, one of his most played. Likewise, it's one of SMLZ's most played champions as well, and they're on the hunt.
Yeah, they are
looking
indeed.
for loopers.
The target that they find is a giant tree, but that's Looper running away. He goes down. Clearlove scores the goal with that one. And 5 members of EDG rush forward. Your eyes do deceive you. They do not have Baron buff, but they're so tanky anyways. They find Dade, but he gets right out of the fight. Pawn tries to chase him away with some more damage. Here's the super minions getting in. Clearlove with the insect play on the Condi. Kicks him right back out of there. Onslaught of Shadows is not enough to keep himself alive. Deft is caught in the stun, but he just doesn't die right now. They're going to not dive this. Might they dive it, in fact? It would be the ace. Mako gets in, lands the stun, but he's got no backup. EDG look to end the game incredibly strong. Bit of AoE coming out as EDG seem to have a little bit of difficulty cracking the base just yet. Pawn finds some damage as he trades with Dade. The style points. Pawn's going to die. Oh, he does indeed. Dade gets the emotional kill for himself there. It's for his morale at that point. And the Nexus goes down.
Okay, the thing that I want to point out, with Baimi, it was, 3 to 13 in kills. With Pawn and Amazing J, it's 10 to 25. Immediately, we have a completely shift in mentality and style of game, much more aggressive, much more skirmish-based, and this is the 2 different identities of EDG forming.
Yeah, a very scary split between these 2 teams. The dichotomy